Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about.
Let's just get this done. Just record and start.
Wait.
Can you record this right now?
Okay, fine. Just go ahead.
Oh,
Just
it's already
wait.
wait.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh wow! Smiles.
No, I'm just like, and it's a good thing that we're not moving all the way here because then you'd see all the mess right here. But it's fine.
All right, I'll stop it and start it again.
No. Just keep it. Just keep it going.
Okay,
It's fine.
here we are, Leah,
In my library, in my house.
and we have decided to start a podcast. And before we started talking to other people, we wanted to introduce ourselves and this podcast and why we decided to do it in the first place. So I'm going to start off a little bit. This is the Polytics podcast, and Polytics, Poly, Tics, because we are of Polynesian descent. Our daddy is Tongan and our mummy is Maori, and we moved here to America about 40 years ago. And
No, it's not 40 years. It's 28.
yeah, well,
38.
Yeah.
38.
Yeah, almost 40 years ago.
I
And
really want to count the 41 as 40 because I want to be able to say, just like the Israelites, we came here 40 years ago.
but
Wait,
we decided to name it Polytics because my sister and I have been engaged in civic engagement for many years, and because of that we have been in the political arena for many years as well, and we just wanted to have discussion around that and to share it with the people that we love and people that we don't know, and hope that it's a help to you. And also with Poly, just some of the other tics that we have, that aren't political. They could really be anything.
Things that tick you off, things that make you tick, those ticks.
Yeah. And Poly also meaning many, so you don't have to be from the Pacific
Many
Islands.
meaning a lot, not
Yeah.
many meaning many.
Yeah. And this is really an attempt to invite our audience back home.
Yeah.
Hey, sis. And to...
She's been inviting me home for a long time.
Yeah. And to nurture your soil, to strengthen your family, to look at the small and simple things that you're doing in your own home, and what you can do, in your community. And maybe that's just, between you and your neighbor, or maybe it's, in the city, whatever. But just to invite to that conversation, and just hopefully to remember who we are and where we come from, and to represent that well. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go first, and I'm just going to talk about my journey of why civic engagement and why we're even here, and then you want to go after? Is that all right, or you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So our mommy and daddy are Kingi and Celeste Tonga, and they have 7 children.
Imagine the picture right here.
4 boys and 3 girls. Leah is the eldest. I am the middle. And we moved here to America almost 40 years ago. And we came here in 2 parts. 3 parts. Our daddy came here first to work, and then the oldest 3 came here, and then the rest of us came. And myself and our younger brother, Ammon, were both born outside of America, so we came here with our parents not having residency or citizenship. And so when our parents came here, we came on a visa. And after our visa expired, our mom petitioned the government to see if we could extend that visa or even find a path to residency so that we could become citizens. And anyways, long story short, we gained approval to stay here legally, and mommy and daddy waited for you to become of
turn
age.
18. Yeah, 18. I think I was maybe 19 or 20 when that happened, because
I never asked you what
I
that
think
was
because
like.
they needed the money to be able. They needed to raise the money in order to
Pay for the
pay
applications.
for the application.
What was that like to sponsor or petition your parents at
I
such
didn't
a...
even know because I was.
Oh, so did mommy fill out the application and
Oh,
you
yeah.
signed it?
It's like, well, a child of immigrant parents. Have you ever done any of the work, or do your parents who are not citizens, did your parents do the work, or did you have to help them? Because I didn't do anything. I just showed up. And said, yes, these are my parents.
Sure, mommy.
Yeah.
And
it's not because I didn't want to. but because I lose things. I am not very organized. And so
shocking.
You know what? Here. But yes. So she did the work and I just showed up. She really made my life very easy. Thank you, Mom. Shout out to you, Celeste. I love you.
Yeah, we love you, Mom. And so we grew up here, and my little brother and I, we grew up without having to wait until my sister turned 18. Because you were how old?
I was 19.
No, when we moved here.
Oh, I was almost 12. I was about 12.
Yeah. So they waited until you were 18 to then sponsor them, and then they had to go through their residency process to get their green card, and that takes quite some time too. Yeah, you have to be a resident for 5 years unless you're marrying an American citizen. At least I don't know if it was different.
Continue.
So fast forwarding, I grew up not having a social security number, and because of that, my mom forced me and my little brother, who were not born here, to go to all of her community meetings and commissions and what I'm trying to think of, just groups that she belonged to.
Yeah, like they would go to the the battered women's shelters to go and help the kids. They went to the Taste of Ogden. They participated in those setups.
Yeah, and like my sister, we didn't have a choice either. So we were like the setup cleanup crew. And me and Moni hated it. I mean, like, I don't know very many teenagers that are like, oh, we love this. We love,
you guys
doing
had to
this
do that,
kind of
but
work.
Ours was like, we needed to educate people about our culture. So we would go to the schools and perform.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we moved to Ogden, and there were no polys in Ogden. Like, hardly any, and nobody knew where Tonga was or New Zealand. So I don't know if any of you do this, but we were like, you know where Hawaii is? And I don't know how many times I have made this triangle with my hands. Hawaii, New Zealand, Tonga in between. Okay. So from a young age, I was around adults who were engaged in their community, trying to nurture, uplift, strengthen, just everything that they could in their city. And I never really thought about it growing up. It was just something to do. And I'm really grateful for it, because I remember not being able to drive when my friends did. And that was pretty devastating for me, because I was the oldest one in my class, because Mommy held me back a year when we moved here. And so all my friends were waiting for me to get my driver's license, and I was like that token, like, you're the first to get the driver's license, so we're gonna go drive to McDonald's or whatever, and just do that rite of passage of eating outside of the cafeteria of the school. And I couldn't do that, and I just remember just like,
but you make it sound like I could. I couldn't even either. Why did that either? Girl, you were not the only one.
Sorry.
No, I loved cafeteria food. Okay, I loved.
My bad.
I loved it.
My bad.
I did not, however, like being the free ticket person.
And so, anyways, going through high school, it was just, my parents just they just supported me. I don't know that they were like, go and engage in the community, but that was just kind of a natural thing for me to do, even in high school. And I think also because my mom was that way. And then, like, for example, when I was in elementary school in 5th grade, I won the Hope of America Award, and I wasn't even a resident or a citizen. So my family always chuckles over that, like, here's our Maori Tongan girl.
She is Hope of America.
Yeah. So anyways, fast forward to high school. I still didn't have my social security number. I was panicking because I did want to go to college. And so my parents were like, let's apply to BYU Hawaii. They take anyone and everyone. And so I was like, cool. I applied there and my application is denied because they couldn't accept an international visa coming from America. And so fast forward a little bit more, finally got things sorted out where I was able to go to school here. I could have gone to school here, but because I didn't have a social security number, I was considered an international student, and the tuition is like 3 times a residential tuition. So that's why. So I went to school and failed in all of my classes, and then finally transferred to a small liberal arts school because of my sister in Cedar City, and came to found out that I love to read. I'm a really slow reader, but I love to read. And I didn't know that until I was almost 30. And that was pretty devastating to me because I felt like I had like missed out on this whole world of reading. And at this liberal arts school, the small school, I learned more about the founding fathers from their original writings. And I fell in love with John Adams and his letters with his Abigail. Like, I just loved that. And it was a perspective that was never offered me in school before, or at least that I don't remember. And then learning more about Jefferson and Washington and Madison just changed my view on America altogether, because at this point I was really angry with America and their immigration system, and I had just kind of decided that I was never going to be a part of America in my heart, that I was just going to coexist, because every time my family would go to the immigration center to turn in our paperwork for me to apply for residency, a law would change on the federal level, and so all of our work and paperwork was now void, and we would have to start all over again. Like all the notarization, all the fees, all the fingerprinting, all didn't matter because a new law had just come into play. And so I just felt from my whole life growing up that America didn't want me, and I finally was just like, fine, I don't want you either. I have a homeland, I have 2 of them, and I love them. And but when I went to the small liberal arts school and I learned more about the founders, I found my home because of their ordinary, quirky, dysfunctional lives. Like, I found that many of them had tempers and didn't get along with each other and were mouthy, and I was like, wow, that's me. And a lot of my family, and I could relate to that. And it was the first time that I could relate to Americans, like in their core. Like, if I can relate to Washington on this level or to an Adams on this level, then that means that we're family. And not just because of their temper, but just principally, like, they were trying to do the best with what little resources they had, and that's what I felt and still feel like I'm doing. And then I decided to go to New Zealand to work on a documentary. I'm just fast forwarding through things, but I went to New Zealand to work on a documentary, and before going, Mommy made me apply for my citizenship because I had gained my residency by then, but I didn't want to become a citizen because I was like, America doesn't want me, so why would I want her? And Mommy made me get my citizenship, and so in 2014, 27 years later, since we moved here, I got my citizenship. And that was a very traumatic day for me. I was angry.
I remember.
I was so angry, and it was at Bravenel Hall, and everybody that was there, it was massive. There were so many people there, and people were just crying, just so grateful to be a part of our nation. And to be here in America that affords them safety and protection and choice, individual choice. And it just blew me away how these strangers came here and were just grateful to even struggle, but struggle according to their own choice and will. It wasn't forced upon them. And each person the judge who officiated allowed a microphone to go around. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I even remember kind of what you said. Well, just one part of it.
But he went through every single continent, and he had the members from every single continent stand up. And it was just so powerful. Like, I will never forget, that experience. And anyways, I was so angry that when I got my citizenship certificate, I wouldn't even hold it. And my dad had to hold it for me because somebody tried passing it to me, and I just let it fall because I was like, 27 years, America. Okay. And I'm not gonna be like, yay, America. So that was very traumatizing for me. But like I said, coming to having that connection with the founding fathers through their stories is what softened and healed my heart. And that's when I really knew. And that's so ironic that I would connect with their whakapapa, with their history and genealogy more than like the current and present state. And anyways, so we went and did our documentary, and we came back, and I was working at a local library, and they asked me to teach U.S. citizenship, not knowing my background. And I know that was Heavenly Father's hand completely. And so I taught U.S. citizenship for over 100 students from all around the world. And in teaching them, I found, because their journey was my journey, I really wanted to present America in all of her parts. And so my students actually carved me out, and they were like, I don't understand this. And so like a student would say that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go study that. So I would go study, and I go study and go study. And all of a sudden I became a history buff, and I loved it. Like, I didn't, like, you hear about people who love history, and you're like, yeah, you're lame, you know, like, okay. But I just loved it because I never made the relationship between history and whakapapa, genealogy. And I love genealogy. And I just never saw history as like, that's your genealogy, that's our genealogy. And so, and then, because of my mom's influence on me when I was young, and my sister taking me to the school, when I graduated from college and I came home, my sister would drag me to, I don't know if you even remember this, but she would drag me to like state convention and county convention and to these meet and greets with candidates, because she homeschooled her kids. And so the only reason why I went with her is because I knew that they would have lollies at their tables. So I would be like, freedom, liberty, awesome. What's that? And then we'd always go get something to eat. And I love spending time with my sister. There are few people on the planet that I love to spend time with, and she's one of them. And I didn't realize that just with her dragging me everywhere, that she was actually teaching me about civics and what it means to defend and preserve liberty. And she would take me to these meet and greets and ask questions to candidates, and I would just sit there and be like, let me hold your purse, you know, like blah 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 blah. And it wasn't until and then we started going up to the state legislature every year. So we started in 2013 because of Connor and Libertas Institute and their legislative boot camp. And we've just been going up ever since. So we've been going up for the past decade and just sussing out our legislators and elected officials, and we'll go sit up in the gallery and listen to the bills that are on the floor and go to committee and speak in committee, whether it's up there or on Zoom. And over the past 4 years, especially since 2020, things have just been going crazy in the country, and we decided to formally just have a constitution discussion with our family. Like, we had already started that before, but just to do it. And so we started doing that weekly. So we've been studying the Constitution for the past 4 years, coming 4 years.
Has it really been 4
years? And we just wanted to juxtapose executive orders and legislation on the Constitution to see if those executive orders and legislation held up. And ever since then, we've just been having I'll just speak for myself. I've just had lots of ideas, like, what can I do to reach out to, like, what other Tianus are out there who are just like, you know, being dragged to convention with their sisters or their siblings or mothers, and like, why am I here? and then all of us, maybe something needs to happen for it to click, like,
Mm.
oh, this is why, and actually I want to be here too. And so anyways, one of those ideas of how to connect is this podcast. Sorry, that's such a long story of how we got here. 40 years in the making.
Almost 40 years.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna hold on to the
Yeah.
almost 40 years.
Yeah, almost 40 years in the making. And so what we are here for and about has a lot of meaning for us, and just hope that whatever that what we share can be a help and a support to other people on their journey and their life experiences. So all right.
Okay,
Done.
so my story. I was the American. I didn't have an issue. I was born in Hawaii. The only thing that we had was poverty. It's like we were not rich. So I did the driving. I mean, like, I had no problems getting a driver's license, going to dances, going on dates, getting a job. Those things I took for granted, or I didn't even realize was a big deal. In fact, my dad, he would get so frustrated with me and tell me things like, "You don't even know how hard it is." And I was like, "I know, but are you gonna eat that thing that you're eating?" And I think he would get so frustrated because I didn't understand what my sister had gone through, what my dad had to go through as well. And then I got married, and then I went from one poor state to another poor state, because when you're married and you're newly married, you have no money, especially when you're struggling students. But I have 4 children. My oldest, I have 2 girls and 2 boys. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 22, and then my boys are 20. They're 26 and 24. Wow. My children are old.
Love you, our babies.
Love you guys. And I didn't want to, maybe just me, just being the parent and not having the issues of immigration like my sister did. I was just kind of, my kids are going to be the brightest children in the world. They're going to learn their ABCs when they're 18 months, and they're going to teach college when they're 2 years old, that kind of a thing. And I was so determined to do something like that. I thought that I could do a really good job. And then I moved to where I live now here in Utah, and I met a friend who just said, those are really good things to be able to have, to be so proud of your children being able to read and to be smart and to be relevant in the world. But can they choose the right? Can they stand up for what's right in a situation, in any situation? And that just totally threw me off. And she taught me about homeschooling. So I went to homeschooling. I went to a seminar, and I learned about the principles of freedom. And these things, I hated history, but this history that they were talking about, I absolutely loved. So in 2003, I learned about freedom. I learned about principles of freedom and liberty, and I've been a student of it ever since. And being an American who had grown up not really knowing what the struggle was like, I know what the struggle is like to be free, because I've been reading and studying the principles of freedom, and studying one of my favorite books that I learned from was The 5,000-Year Leap by Cleon Skousen. Taught me so much. And then reading about Frederick Bastiat. Oops.
Sorry.
Ta-da! I became, it's a really good book. I became enamored just with him, and I've been reading his other book, The Miracle of America, right now. Really, really loving it, just going in depth and learning about the Constitution. I learned about, here in Utah, we have a caucus system, and I learned about the caucus system, and I learned about policies from becoming involved in there. I ran and became a county delegate. I've been a state delegate. I've been a precinct vice chair. I'm currently serving as a precinct chair in my precinct. I now serve as the House District Vice Chair for our legislative district in our area. I have held debates for my city, for my community, for my city council representatives, because I love them. I love going and vetting candidates still to this day, and I really still do love going to legislative sessions and learning about the things that are going on, and just seeing how they measure up to the principles of freedom. And I hope it's important to you too.
Why do you love it?
Because I've seen the struggle in my own family, like my sister has explained. And because I've seen what great things come when people are free. Businesses that thrive, inventions that can be created when we have when our hands are not tied, when we don't have limitations put on us. It's like being a parent. The more you can let your children thrive, the more you can create an atmosphere of freedom, an environment of freedom where they can thrive, and not one where they're always being told no, but given opportunities. But parents giving opportunities by saying yes. And I have to apologize to my kids because I've said no a lot. They know. It's been a long learning process. The freedom process has been a long one for me, but I've learned it through raising my own kids and just being a mom and a wife and an individual. So yeah.
I just want to have you talk about self-advocacy really quick.
Oh.
Because so civics is my jam, and I explained that in my story. But my sister loves civics as well, but self-advocacy is her jam, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, self-advocacy is a huge thing.
What is self-advocacy?
Self-advocacy to me is being able to plead your case well, and not in a way where you're complaining, where you're whining, but just moving forward, keeping your head up, still advocating for what you want, but doing it in a way where people are open to it and not where they feel like they're pressured into doing something, but that they want to help you because they see your cause, they see it well. And yeah, that's what matters to me.
You want to talk about?
No, I don't want to talk about it. I'll talk about it another time.
Okay, sounds good.
But yeah, that part also matters to me. I mean, like, it's a huge part. But yeah.
Yep, and she has quite the journey to talk about that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that whenever that happens, then that'll happen.
Yeah.
And that's right? Like when it feels right, it feels right. When it's not there, it's not the time.
I don't know, like, it's really important that you know about us, but I don't think you need to know. And when I was 8,
yeah,
and this is what I did.
Also, I'm pretty boring. So.
No, you're not boring. No, I think it'll come out on its own when it needs to come out, like you said.
Yeah.
So I trust that.
Yeah. Anything else we want to share? Looking forward to this year.
Yeah. We're going to the legislative. We're going to the Capitol.
Yeah. The legislative
session has started. It started today.
Yep.
We're
going tomorrow.
Was there anything good from that you?
From today, watching it today. So we were watching just the first day of session, and it was.
Oh, is there anything that stood out to you?
This was actually the first time I've watched the first day of session, so I didn't really know what the Tonga or the protocol was behind that. But I just feel like, and I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I just feel like there's something different in the air this year, where people are like, everybody's like, okay, I need to do this right. And I can feel that, even from our legislators, like, hey, like, no mucking around. Like, we need to, like, hit.
What were your thoughts on Speaker Schultz's opening remarks?
Yeah. Speaker Schultz, so he's the new House Speaker. I was, did he tell me a little, did he cry a little bit?
I don't know.
I think he was getting a little bit emotional, and I thought that was really beautiful, because it's not very often that you see the legislators, like, talk about their own journey. And he talked about his granddad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he comes from a rural area, Utah, and
yeah, it's not far from you.
Yeah, from West Haven. And he was just talking about how grateful he is for his upbringing and his ancestors and what they paved for him, and just the mana that he has to uphold. And I love that, because I mean, I feel like that's what we're doing. Like, we've been given so much. I mean, even coming here to America, we have been given so much. And I think that's another reason why it's so hard for me to hate America. I never hated America. I was just angry because ultimately, I think just as humans, we just want connection and we want to be like, welcome
these
home.
are things that I don't necessarily understand because being an American, like I didn't understand the struggle.
Yeah.
I never felt the struggle.
The first time we went
I
home,
had the American life.
Well, the first time we went home to New Zealand for our documentary, I remember going through immigration, and the officer took my passport, and he was like, "Oh, it says here that you're from here," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm born here," and he was like, "Oh, welcome home."
Also, can people at the TSA say the same thing too? Welcome home. When you just wanting to say.
Really though, it's just like
Not welcome home before you touch me, but just welcome home.
I was like, my whole life, that is all that I've been waiting for America to say to me is welcome home. And I'm like, okay, I got it from the founders, that's fine. One day the government will acknowledge me. No, now I don't really even care.
Now that you have a social security number, this is what you owe.
This is
They
what you
acknowledge
owe.
you.
Yes.
Of course.
Anyways, but yeah, no, home, connection, belonging, oh, those are like the most powerful forces on the planet. And I went home and this stranger just had me in tears, and I was just like, you don't even know. You don't even know what that means to me. And that, something as simple as just like, come home. Oh, we missed you, And anyways, and I feel like these discussions, to me, that is my hope, is to have that same spirit of like, welcome home, bub. As we point to principles, as we look at disagreements, as we look at legislation.
And not just welcome home, bub, but what you doing, bub?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Yeah. I've had some of those conversations with aunties and uncles back home, like,
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
No. Do we have like one kind of like a slogan?
You guys have any ideas for slogans? Cause we
Like something to end it with.
like don't destroy each other.
Really want to end it with, don't destroy each other. I mean, like, what is it? Tony Robbins does his live with passion. Live with. Should we say something like that? Should we just say?
I cannot
bye?
say
Okay,
that.
Bye.
I cannot say live with
okay, fine.
passion.
I know. I couldn't
Because
say
I
that
feel like
either.
that's just in our words. You don't have to say that. That's what we're saying without saying that.
But sometimes people say it. I mean, like, he needed to say it, so that's fine. And we're not going way off topic, but
Yeah.
still.
We'll think about it.
Well, I don't know if I have a slogan. Do we really need?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know. Do podcasts have slogans? Don't know. Anyways, I think
Alright.
it's probably a good time.
Okay, bye.
Ka kite ano, o falahi atu.
Ka kite ano o fo tia tu.